On to tonight's well, it's not really a revival night, but we are going to talk about Abraham. So sorry that I am almost exactly an hour late. We were driving to Fallon and wasn't able to get here as fast as I was originally thinking. I don't know why. I should have just done the math and known what time I would have been here. But we are live now. Oops. So I am actually sitting in the hotel room. The rest of my family is all on the other side of this camera pretending to be very quiet. You say, well, Pastor Ed, if they're quiet, does that mean they're quiet? No, they're just pretending. They're not actually being quiet. They're just pretending to be quiet. It's not in their nature. Judah actually had to remove himself from the room. So you can appreciate the family's sacrifice there. So we'll keep it short and sweet tonight. Let's pick up where we left off. So we're going to be Genesis 12:10 through 11. Let's start there. We'll get a little further than that, though I think I just put 10 through 11 in the title, but we'll get a little further. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram, remember he's Abram, not Abraham, he went down into Egypt that's not good. He went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land, and it came to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt that he said unto Sarah his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. There's a lot to unpack there. I want to read this. As many commentators view this as a failure of faith on Abram's part. This is the first mention of Egypt, symbolizing alliance with the world. Isaiah 31:1. Woe unto them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not to the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. So what we have happening here is there's a famine in the land, which Abram should have been. Okay, I don't care. Well, what do you mean you don't care? Do you not understand? There's a famine. God called me here, so it's not my problem. It's his problem. He'll work it out. In fact, we will see that later on in another situation where that is his exact attitude of, it's not my problem. It's God's problem. God's the one who said this. God's the one who has the problem, not me. I'm just going to listen to what he says. And that's really how we all should live our lives, but we don't a lot of times. And the times that I have been able to do this have been really, it just made it so much easier. Like when I remember when we were looking to move from California to Virginia, and there was a problem with the moving company. At first, I started to let's go down to Egypt, and the version of that was, well, we're not going to be able to do it. I'm going to have to call the pastors and say we can't come out and be youth pastors and teach at the school, and then it. And about 20 or so minutes after panicking and trying to figure things out, I kind of came to myself and realized, wait a minute, I didn't decide to go to Virginia. I didn't decide to leave. I didn't want to leave here. We were fine. We were not fine, but we didn't want to go back into ministry. And so I was like, God's the one who called me back into ministry. This is God's problem, not my problem. Said, all right, I'm going to relax tonight. There's nothing I can do tonight. It was like 9:30 at night. And I said, I'm going to relax tonight and get up in the morning and make a couple phone calls, and God will work it out, because this is his problem, not my problem. That's exactly what Abraham should have done, or Abram at this time should have done. But instead he said, oh, okay. He started using this thing that can get us in trouble, which is, it's good to use your brain, obviously. But if God tells you something else, like you go, because you don't know all the variables. So he starts trying to figure out, okay, there's a famine. We got to go down to Egypt. There's nothing else we can do. So he's headed down there, and it dawns on him, oh, wait a minute. The custom in the land is that if you see a good-looking woman, you can kill her husband and take her as your wife. So that's when he says to her, behold, I know that there are a fair woman to look upon. He's not just flirting with his wife here. He's starting to scheme a little bit. Let's jump to verse 12 through 13. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me. But they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Okay, so here's what's going on here. So moral compromise. leads to moral compromise. And so he's going to go down, he's going to trust in his own ingenuity. He's going to go down to Egypt. And he realizes, oh, wait, the custom of the land is you can literally, if you see a woman, a foreigner, you can kill him and take the wife. So if you see a woman, you can kill her husband and take her as your own wife. That was just their custom. So he's like, oh, this is a problem, because I think I could be wrong. She's I think 65, around 60, 65 at this point. Apparently at 65 years old, she's still attractive enough that he thinks that they're going to kill him. And then turns out that he wasn't wrong. They do see her and desire her. And she almost gets married off, but we'll come to that here soon. I have a couple points here. Okay, so number one, we look at the situation. Number one, what should Abram have done? I mean, it seems like the guy couldn't catch a break. Well, number one, he should have sought God and kept going and would have never been here for the famine. Remember, he stopped when he wasn't supposed to stop. He should have kept going. So if he had just, or again, I don't know, maybe they could cross the desert or not. It's not my area of expertise. He would have never been in the land of Haran and where this famine was happening, and it wouldn't have been a problem. Number two, when the famine hit, he should have sought God, who no doubt would have directed him onwards. So when he got to this problem, he should have been like, Lord, I have a problem. There's a famine. And God would have been like, hey, stupid, you weren't supposed to be here anyways. Keep going to where I called you to go. He probably wouldn't call him stupid. That's my own interpretation. But he would have been like, oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to actually be there. I'm not listening. Okay, let's keep going to where we're supposed to go. Thanks, God. And then, so we see, though, instead, he used his own ingenuity and got himself in such a mess. Like, literally, dude. Like, his wife is now. So the reason he said to say you're my brother, one is, again, going to the whole human ingenuity thing. He's like, I'm not technically lying. She is my sister. She's my half sister. But what happens is he knew that, okay, so if we say that she's my wife, they'll kill me and take her. But if I'm her brother, they will, if someone decides to take her as a wife, they'll come to me first as her brother, because there's no father around, to make a deal, to make marriage arrangements. And that's exactly what happens. And so they start showering him with these gifts, almost like a dowry, so they can take his wife. And homeboy is just sitting there like, well, this didn't work out how I planned. Like, I don't know what to do. And so he's sitting here. He's like, okay, so if I don't say anything, I just lost my wife and she's going to be married off to someone else. Well, that's not very good. But if I do say something, they're going to kill me for sure. Because now not only is it likely, but now they're going to be so mad that they're for sure going to kill me. So he's stuck. There's literally nothing he can do at this point. He's in such a mess that it took divine intervention on God's part to pull him out. Like, if this was science fiction, if this was a story that we were writing, this is what they call the Deus Ex Machina, right? Where it's literally like the hand of God has to reach down to keep the plot going forward. And that's literally what happens, is like the hand of God has to reach down and fix this so the plot can keep going forward, and the plot being God's will. And this is how bad of a situation he got in, and he screwed up. But here's the thing, he doesn't just do this once, he does this twice. This happens again when she's like in her 80s, and again in her 80s she's got like the pharaoh like wanting to pull her, right? So he definitely found himself an attractive woman. So he does this twice, but then this passes on to his son Isaac, and the same thing, Isaac ends up doing the same thing. So there's a lot here, but the gist of this is, guys, you hear from God. So he hears from God. He partially obeys, which is the same as disobedience. And then he tries to use his own human schemes, ingenuity, and planning. And then he gets himself in such a bad situation that he's like, I'm stuck. And then God has to help, Lord, help me. And then God has to pull him out of this situation, which is the only option here. Remember I said they're pretending to be quiet? Well, one of them is starting to not pretend as much. So I need to wrap this up, but I don't know what's happening. I feel like everyone knows the joke but me, so I'm going to keep going. This is the thing. We see this all the time in our lives where we go out and do our own plan, and then we get in these situations where like, Lord, can you please help me? And God's like, yeah, I can help you, but you know how much better off it'd be if you just actually sought me for guidance and trusted in me. And when the first sign of danger or something happens, don't go run off and try to solve it yourself. You think I didn't know this was going to happen? You think God didn't know this was the famine was going to happen? You think God didn't have a plan for all these things? And it took him a while, but eventually we will catch up to Abraham when he's Abraham, and he has learned to fully trust God. And when God says something, he just goes off and does it. And he's like, when a problem like this arises, he's like, this is not my problem. This is God's problem. I will follow God. And that was a credit to him as faith. So let's put God first. Let him direct our plans, our path. And then when situations come up, we don't have to stress. We can say, Lord, you gotta deal with that roadblock. There's a roadblock. Satan's putting a roadblock in the middle of your plan. Like, it's over there. Versus when we do our own thing and then we have to get nervous and go, oh, I don't know how we're gonna make this happen, because you've taken it out of God's hands. Don't do that. It doesn't work well. Eventually you're going to end up just needing that Deus Ex Machina, and you're just going to be like, Lord, I need you to reach down and intervene so the plot can keep going forward. All right, that's all I got for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow's 6 a.m. I very likely will be in my car, because none of these people who are pretending to be quiet are going to pretend to be quiet if I start off at 6 a.m. with, good morning, welcome to Rock Talk. They're going to just start throwing things at me, and you're going to see pillows hitting me in the head. And then I think Lily will throw like her water. I can see a water bottle. She'll probably throw that. So I will be doing Rock Talk live in the morning in the car, probably freezing, so my family can get a little more sleep. You selfish little people who don't care about the gospel going out. I'm kidding. I love my family. Okay, with that, I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 a.m. And then we'll play Wordy by ear. We're gonna see how that's gonna work out. So that's supposed to be at noon. I will probably be in my car again. I might just come back here, and I may have the hotel room to myself while the family's out. I might be able to just come back here and do a Wordy episode. So we'll play all that by ear. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you jumping on here with me tonight. And yeah, get your typing fingers ready for Wordy tomorrow, though, because remember, Wordy is interactive, and I need you guys typing and interacting. We are still in Revelation for Wordy, so don't get confused. We're kind of jumping back and forth between the night services and then the Wordies and the Rock Talks. So the Rock Talks and Wordy, we're still in Revelation. The night services, we've moved on to Abraham. So with that, we'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early at 6 a.m.